Hello, my name is Jodi Low, and this is the Leadership Lowdown, powered by the BBB and You and Improved. The Leadership Lowdown cuts through the clutter and gets to the heart of what makes businesses tick. We want to share the stories that matter to you, all of the successes and triumphs and all of the pitfalls, and everything that happens in between. So with that, let's get on to today's show. Welcome to the Leadership Lowdown. I am so excited because I'm sitting across from actually a friend, and we've known each other through a few different venues and I guess paths throughout our lives. But great to see you, Diana Vowels, who is the co-founder and COO of Pet Ortho Braces, which I can't wait to dive into. But welcome.
Great, glad to be here.
Yeah,
Thank you.
glad to have you. Glad to have you. So we know each other actually from a personal note. Our daughters were in gymnastics together, which is so funny. However, I've always admired you because you are such an industry leader, such a thought leader in, and such a community leader really in Phoenix, and have done so much great work and recognized for great work. So for our viewers and listeners, I would love to just jump in because time is limited. I want to hear and share with them, please, what did you, what started you into your industry, and then obviously a big pivot into pet ortho braces. So give us a little journey, a trip down memory lane.
Yeah, I've done a few pivots in my life, and and I like to keep it interesting. Reinvent myself. So I came to Arizona about 20 years ago with the Gannett Company, media company. I got my start in media sales.
Right,
just like
similar,
you.
yeah.
So got a similar background there. And that I think that's what made me super curious about businesses, because I was an advertising sales rep. I got to call on businesses of all different types and learn how they ran, a lot of family businesses, a lot of corporates. And it developed a passion in business for me, not necessarily just in advertising. So got here when the markets crashed in 2008, all of my revenue categories blew up all at the same time.
Right.
And I had already laid off 75 people, and the economy was not good. I'm sure you probably remember those days. And I was done with media. I was just burnout. And I said, I've got to do something different with my life, but I'd been so heads down, I had no idea what I wanted to do. At the same time, my husband, who had followed me for 2 of my 8 moves with the corporation, was working for a local prosthetics and orthotics company. He designs prosthetic limbs. And we had the opportunity to buy the company where he worked. And I knew nothing about healthcare, but I knew how to run a business, and I knew how to negotiate contracts, and I knew how to make businesses more efficient. And so I jumped on the opportunity. We bought a company, not knowing anything about the space. We learned it. We figured it out. We grew the business, had it for about 8 years, and sold to a regional entity out of Utah. And I decided along the way, super interesting running the business, but healthcare is not for me.
Yeah.
And healthcare is a challenge, the business side of it. So I went on to work with tech and startups. So I spent the past 10 years, I opened up Groupon here, got Groupon up and running, hired 150 people there.
So cool.
And then launched Galvanize here, which, if you're familiar with Galvanize, Tech Hub was booming before the pandemic, tons of events, all kinds of...
I mean, there literally was not a week that went by that there wasn't a couple of events going on at Galvanize.
I had 400 members, 125 companies, and about 65 events a month. So every day there was something going on. I was working ridiculous hours, but I had so much fun. And what I learned about myself along the way is I need to be surrounded by people who are transforming or innovating. And I was around students who were breaking into tech. I was with entrepreneurs who were, a 20-year-old brilliant entrepreneur who had great ideas, but no business knowledge at all. And then next minute I was with corporate folks from Banner Healthcare who were trying to innovate in their space and wanted to act more like the startups. So to me, it was perfect. I was with these innovative people, and I was with the corporations who wanted to learn how to be more innovative. So ran that up through the pandemic. Company got sold. Things changed with co-working and events. Events kind of went away for a long time, sadly. And I... went on to run Startup AZ. So I was the CEO for Startup AZ for a couple of years. And Startup AZ is a nonprofit working with early-stage tech founders in Arizona to help them grow and scale their companies and provide them a trusted advisory network. So it's a CEO roundtable group. So from that experience, I also was surrounded by people who were innovating in their space and growing businesses. Absolutely loved it. And While that was happening, here's where we go back to the prosthetics and orthotics.
Right.
My husband and I were approached by a pet company. And we worked with humans before that, but we were approached by a pet company who did those little doggy wheelchairs. I don't know if you've ever seen
absolutely.
Cutest little social media videos, dogs running down the beach in their wheelchairs.
Right.
And they approached us and said, we think it'd be really interesting to have a custom prosthetics and orthotics division, so bracing and prosthetics for animals. I was like, well, that's intriguing. I like animals. My husband likes animals. I know the business side. He knows the clinical side.
Yeah.
We launched the division of the company here in Scottsdale in 2022, and it's called Pet Ortho Braces. Fast forward 8 months later, the parent company in New Hampshire got sold to some European investors. They had zero interest in the prosthetic side. And they were like, nah, we don't need that division. So they carved it out of the deal. So we had to decide, do we walk away from this?
Yeah.
Or do we partner with the original founder? And long story short, we decided to take it over. We bought out the investors, took it over in 2023. So we're going on 2 years now. We've done more than 600 cases now.
Wow.
And we're getting 90% plus success rates. So we're having great outcomes. And it's a non-surgical treatment for animals. So people love it that they don't have to necessarily put their animal through surgery.
Right.
And it's a fun business.
I mean, well, what an unusual niche, and that it was sort of full circle too. You know, that you come back to something that obviously was his passion and his knowledge. So
funny note on that. When we got married, so we've been married 23 years now. And when we got married, we promised we would never work together.
Oh, like, well, the rest of the vows went fine, but that one, we're going to break that vow.
So we promised we were never going to work together, and now we've done it twice. So we kind of stay in our lanes.
Yeah.
He's clinical, treats the animals, does the evaluation, works with the veterinarians, and I make the business run better.
I love it. I love it.
Which led me to open another business.
Yeah. So talk about the master of so many different verticals and avenues that you travel down. Amazing. Tell us about that.
So I launched a company called Vowel Services, and it is fractional COO work. So I do operations leadership for companies who need high-level leadership, but they don't necessarily need a full-timer yet. So it might be an early stage or rapidly growing company, or a company that is trying to get acquired and they need to button everything up. Yeah. So basically making them more efficient, run better, look better financially.
Right. All the things that you...
be more attractive to customers and investors.
Yeah.
So
all the things you're just
love that.
Fantastic
So those are the two hats I wear.
Wow.
So at my own company, and then I work with other companies
right,
as well.
Which is perfect. A nice blend, and it gives you the people that you want.
Yes.
So that's perfect. So how do you manage that? Because it is unique that you really run two completely different things, yet you do it beautifully, and are a mother and a spouse and all the other hats you wear. But for others that may be in that similar role, whether they are starting a business but also they have a job, or whether they have two different hats as you mentioned, how do you manage that all? How do you juggle it?
Yeah, sometimes not so well, but most days I think I do okay.
Yeah.
I have tremendous energy, so I'm always busy. I'm always looking at what can I make better? How can I improve this? How can I grow this kind of thing? The juggling part of it, I look at the pet side of the business, and I'm kind of structured and organized. I'm kind of a geek. I look at, okay, what is the clinical side? What is my side? Where can I make things better, and which places should I stay out of? And that has led me to believe that I don't need to be in pet ortho braces, 40 hours a week.
Right.
I can be there a couple days a week and keep the company moving forward.
Good.
And, a family business, you're with your spouse, that's a lot of togetherness.
That is a lot of togetherness.
So sometimes it's a good thing to not be there all the time.
Yeah. And how do you divide that with, obviously, you mentioned obviously your interests and your areas of expertise, but how do you manage just making sure it's not too much time, but that there's not friction and
what?
Keep it separate?
We work together well. I have tremendous respect for his clinical knowledge and his expertise on the medical and clinical side of it. He's taken the human side of it because he built prosthetic limbs for 20-some years and has really gained an understanding of the animal side of it, started working with veterinarians, and it's transferable. Yeah. The skills, when you build a knee brace, which I know we have cameras in here.
Yeah.
So this is a dog knee brace. So It is designed to help a dog heal from a torn CCL, which is like a torn ACL in a human. That's
Right.
the most common injury. But what I have found kind of interesting to me is that the skills from the human side to the animal side are very transferable.
Mm-hmm.
So Dave has done prosthetics and orthotics forever. You have to understand range of motion. You have to understand kinesiology. It's different with a dog, how they move.
Yeah.
Bones are different, muscles are different, ligaments are different. But it's mostly the same.
Yeah.
I mean, you're doing the same thing. You're healing somebody by positioning something in the proper way to heal.
Right. It's just
and
different
doing it without
movement than a
surgery.
human, but once you understand that, you can treat it accordingly. And you said 90% success rate. So this is really helping in a non-invasive way.
Yeah. We've done about 600 cases so far, mostly dogs, but we've also fit a couple goats. We've worked with goats. We've worked with miniature horses, pot-belly pigs, and some cats.
That is amazing. I love this.
This is a cat brace, tiny little
They're
thing.
just so tiny.
That was a cat that
And so
had an
with
injury.
something like that, is it, I mean, does this cat brace fit any cat, or is that like
these are all custom.
Okay.
So think of it like you know how you see the NFL players wearing their knee braces while they're running. Those are custom made for that player, for that anatomy.
Yeah.
We're doing the same thing for animals.
Okay.
So we're casting them. Each one is unique to the animal. So the shape of this one is going to be very different than the others.
Got it. So it's not
So
like there's
it's
just
not
a
an
small, medium, and
off-the-shelf.
large type thing. You're going to
Yeah.
customize it for that particular animal.
Yeah, and so we've had great success with it. The thing that I found that's interesting to me personally, just because my background is, the clinical skills were very transferable. It's understanding the anatomy and understanding how the veterinary business works. But on my business, on the operational leadership side, it's so transferable as well.
Yeah.
Every business has similar challenges.
Yeah.
It's people challenge. It's staffing. It's organization. It's marketing. It's
You know what?
growth.
It's so funny that you say that, because that is so true. And while I think in any business, you know, I know I see it in my business too, there's certain maybe sandboxes that you play in more, or whether it's just through word of mouth referrals, those sorts of things, you sort of build those niches. But also you start to see that there's so many commonalities, to your point, where, you know, business is business, people are people, and you're going to see a lot of those repeat behaviors or things that come up. So yeah, it's not surprising. And so for you, in your knowledge and growing yourself as a leader, what were some of those pivotal moments or mentors that you had along the way? How did you gain and acquire the knowledge that you have that is so transferable to so many different things?
Yeah. So when I worked for Gannett, Gannett was a huge corporation. They had about 40,000 employees when I worked for them. And media looked very different than it does today. I had so many good mentors. And 3 of my mentors I am still very close with today: Nancy, Linda, and Karen. And I just came back from Italy with Karen and Linda.
Oh, my gosh.
So we're very close. We've
That's
stayed
awesome.
together. And what I've learned along the way is, surround yourself with mentors, be authentic. We were 4 women coming up in a company that was, most of the leadership was men, and you were taught to behave this way and be tough and be firm and act like a guy.
Yep.
And you need to be authentic.
Yeah.
You don't need to act like a guy. You need to be
Yeah, what do you
yourself.
think of
And-
that? Because, in very male-dominated industries and also going back to, when you and I were starting out in the business world, it did look different and it did feel different. So what do you think about that as opposed to how things are today? Do you see a big difference? Do you...
A lot of things have changed and a lot of things have stayed the same.
yeah.
I mean, there's still some old school thoughts and processes.
Right.
Although what I find most interesting, like especially working in tech companies, is the younger generation just doesn't believe those rules. They come in and they think they got a good idea. They say it.
Yeah.
And when I was coming up, if you were the 20-year-old at the table and you were with the 40-year-olds, you didn't speak up.
Well, and I love that you mentioned that, because that is one of the things that I think is so distinctly different. And I think for a lot of folks in our generation, at least a lot of the leaders I know, sometimes are very off-put by the younger folks. Like, hey, wait a minute, you need to earn your stripes, or you need to, be here a while. Yet some of the greatest ideas are coming from young people. It's like, if we open our minds and our hearts and the ways that we do things to allow fresh new perspectives from a new set of eyes, maybe they don't have the experience, and maybe that's the gift.
Yeah. I'd say that's the biggest difference, just the generational difference of younger people think, okay, I can contribute on day one and I can share ideas. And they're not as concerned of, if my idea is going to be looked down upon.
Right.
My generation was, you don't speak up until you've got 10, 20 years in with the
Right,
company. And
right.
you've earned the right to have a good idea.
You want to have some proof behind that and some data to support it and make sure that, when you speak, it's proven. No, I 100%. And it is very, very different. And when you look at that, because you've had so much history in different types of businesses, is there something that you have felt has been a business skill or a leadership skill or something that you've found to be most important to you that you've held on to from career to career or opportunity to opportunity?
I think it's a couple things. One, curiosity and mentorship. Mm-hmm. I'm intensely curious about everything. Even what I would say, really boring things. Uh-huh. Like when we owned the prosthetics practice, for example, we were trying to buy a building and we couldn't get the zoning approved because we didn't have enough parking spots for the square footage of the building. Right. I was like, well, that's dumb. How is this building built that way, and why can't I have it? And I was like, I am going to understand parking and zoning. And I made it my mission to learn it so that we could buy the company, buy the building, went to city council and got approval for medical use of the building because there was no way to expand parking. Yeah. We were landlocked. Mm-hmm. But I don't know, things you never thought you needed to know. Yeah. And I know you've had some of that in your career because I've listened to some of your podcasts. Yeah. I don't know, parking and zoning. I've learned how animals' ligaments work, you know.
Things that you never thought you would learn, but you are in a circumstance where you're like, well, gosh. And I love the insane curiosity that you mentioned, because I think that is something that when you have that hunger to understand it, learn it, fix it, solve it, because I know that's a big piece of you, is like, how do I solve this or make it better or improve it? That's where some of the greatest ideas and products and businesses and all that comes from.
I'm a repository of useless information.
You're like, you want zoning, you want pet orthotics, I got you.
I got you covered.
I got it all. Well, I love your story, and there's so much there. I wanted to ask some fun questions that I love to ask our guests, just so people can get to know you better. And obviously, there's so much in your history, and we could spend days uncovering it all. But a few fun things. So, question for you, Miss Diana, what is your favorite word?
You know what? It's curiosity.
Is it? Okay. I love that.
I have little Curious George characters in my house. I have a Christmas ornament that's Curious George. I love the little books. And I have this remember those little pop-up things that you push the bottom and they're...
Yeah. They collapse.
Yeah, I don't even know what they're called.
I don't either.
I have one of those on my shelf. So curious is my word.
I love that. And that is so you. So do you have a least favorite word?
It's a phrase.
Okay.
You don't need to know that.
Oh.
When I hear you don't need to know that, I absolutely have to understand that. Whatever it is, if someone
You're like, that is an invitation.
That is an invitation. So I don't know that it's a word as much as a phrase.
That is really funny. I love that. That's a unique one. I like that a lot. Okay. That's different. I really like that one. What would you say for you turns you on, whether it's creatively, spiritually, emotionally, like what just revs you up and brings you to life?
You know what? Travel. Travel. Mm-hmm. I am intensely curious about how people live, how they, I just came back from Europe, and I'm amazed at just some things that seem so simple here, simple or unstructured, but they're just beautiful, and they're giving people a peaceful existence and a joy in life. Yeah. And it's not a big house, it's not a big car, it's not the biggest SUV you can own kind of thing. It's so I think it's how people live around the world.
Yeah.
So in my next life, I want to be Rick Steves, the travel guy.
Love that.
That's
well,
what I
hey, it's not too late, girl.
I know.
If anyone could pull it off, it's you. That could be the third career that you could put in the hat. No, I love that though, because you're absolutely right. And I share that same passion with you. When you see people enjoying life in their own unique way, in their own culture, it's something that's just so fulfilling to see and watch. So I love that. What turns you off? If that's what you love, is there an opposite to that, or just something in general that you just don't like?
It's probably just closed-mindedness in general. And travel's a good example. I'll say to people, I'll go anywhere. Somebody asks me to go somewhere, I'll go. I don't care where it is. I just want to see it. Yeah. I want to see what the people are like, how they live. Yeah. But when people are like, well, why do I need to go overseas? I haven't seen the U.S. Well, see both.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think it's just not being open to new experiences, probably.
Yes. Yep. I completely get that. What sound or noise do you love?
Oh, the pitter-patter of rain hitting the ground. I I grew up in the Midwest, and my husband grew up in the Midwest too. We talk about this often, those thunderstorms where you could be inside and warm and cozy, but you could just hear it storming outside. I don't know. We had one of those a couple nights ago.
We did, which was so exciting. Yes.
Totally freaked out my dog. But, other than that.
But we don't have a ton of that. Yeah. So that's a good one, especially when you're inside. You don't have to be in
when
it.
You're inside.
Right. Is there a sound or noise that you hate?
It's probably screeching, just high-pitched screeching of any sort.
Yeah, and I get that.
Yeah, that's probably it.
Yeah. Okay. I like that one. If you, this is kind of a funny question because you sort of already answered it, but what profession other than your own would you love to attempt? Would it be the travel, or is there something else that's on the docket?
It would definitely involve travel. So if I couldn't be Rick Steves, I think it's on the theme of connecting and teaching and learning and curiosity. So it would probably involve travel.
Yeah.
Like I could be a tour guide somewhere.
Yeah.
And I would enjoy that tremendously. Just again, learning how people live and how they interact.
Yeah. No, I get that. And I guess on the opposite end of that, is there a profession that you're like, oh my gosh, I don't know how people do it. I would not want to ever do that.
Yeah, it would probably be something that's got heavy compliance, like where I have to be buried in 300-page documents.
That's not your jam.
No, not my jam at all.
No. So when you look for, especially because you've had so many different, and are still involved in so many different things, is there a theme between all of them that's sort of your constant that you always feel like that's my zone? Obviously, operations and people, but anything else that just is a...
I'd say it's connectivity and efficiency, and sometimes those are at odds. I'm a huge community person. Building the community at Galvanize and being surrounded by incredible business leaders drove me so much, and I realized that my superpower is helping people find what they need and connect them to others. And you and I talked about this earlier. Yes. We had a recent connection.
Yeah.
But I think it's connectivity and making things better. I have an innate curiosity of how to make things better, more efficient, but also the connectivity piece. So it's almost like the structural side of my brain and the social side of my brain must be working together.
Yes.
So I don't want to be social just for social's sake. I want to be social to learn more about people and learn what they need or who I can connect them with.
Right.
So I love being able to say to somebody, hey, you get such and such challenge or you need such and such.
Right.
I know this person over here. Just go meet them.
Yes.
Go have coffee. I don't know if it'll pan out. I don't know if it'll be helpful. But I
there
think
might
they're
be
an
something
interesting
there.
person.
Yeah.
And I think you should know each other.
Well, and I think that's the magic of a lot of what you do is just bringing those people together to see what comes from it. And obviously, it's been a big part of your career, too, in doing that. When you look at your career and a lot of the community events and things that you've given back, because I know that's a huge piece for you is community stewardship. And what are some of those things that you are most engaged in and involved in that mean the most to you? Because I know that's a big part of things.
Yeah. I continue to mentor startups. So I love the tech and startup scene. So I stay engaged in that community. I sit on a couple boards, and I've sat on the board of directors for Boys and Girls Clubs of the Valley, which used to be Metro Phoenix, for 16 years now. So I'm passionate about the work that they do. I joined the board as a part of Gannett, which was a huge corporation. But when I left Gannett, I asked the CEO at the time, I said, do you still want me?
Yeah.
I don't have Gannett's pocketbook anymore.
Yeah.
But do you want me?
Yeah.
Because I love the work you're doing. And I'm still on the board now.
Isn't that great?
I get joy from that, seeing the work that we do and connecting the people who have the means to help the people who need the help. So it's finding people who have done well so that they can do good.
Yeah.
And I enjoy that.
That's
I don't know,
awesome.
the connectivity theme I think is coming in again here.
There's a curiosity and connectivity theme that runs deep, which is apparent, but also just knowing you and the rich bio that you have, it's just in your DNA.
and I'm starting to learn the nonprofit space of the pet world.
Yes.
The animal world.
Right, which
there's
is
a ton
so
of rescues
huge.
and there's a ton of organizations who want to help animals.
Yeah.
But like anything else, you've got to figure out the legit ones. You got to figure out the solid players.
Yeah.
Who do you want to align yourself with? And I've recently been introduced to some great organizations there. So I'm learning more about pet charity. Now that I'm
You're like, now I'm in the
space.
pet charity world. I love it. I love it. Well, I just love that you're always learning and growing. Absolutely.
I like reinventing myself.
Right.
And I'm having fun along the way.
Which is what matters most. Well, my last question, sort of in the fun question category, is if heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say, he or she, when you arrive at the pearly gates?
I'm so proud that you spent your life trying to help people.
I love that. I love that. It's good work. And it truly is that concurrent theme for you. And, no doubt that's what you will hear one day, long from now. But I love that. I love that. Well, being that this is the Leadership Lowdown, I do want to wrap up with, if you can, share, do you have a word of wisdom, a tip, anything that's been pivotal in your career or something that a mentor shared with you that's sort of something that you think our viewers or listeners could really anchor into and learn from?
I think as you progress in your career, whatever it is, you're taught how to act and how to behave. And, in my case, it was, act more like a guy kind of thing. Right. But I think the best advice anyone gave me is that showing vulnerability as a leader is the best thing you can do for your people, and show them you're a human. It kind of goes back to people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. It's the same thing with leadership. And I spent the first, 10 years of my career being told, be tough, don't show your feelings, do this, do that. Right. But I think when you can show that you are a compassionate leader and you understand people, you still want to get the job done. Yep. And you still want to be efficient and do all the things the business needs to do to survive. But if you're a good human behind it, people will follow you. Yeah. And I think one of the things I'm most proud of in my career is the number of people who have reached out to me and said, I would work for you again. So
that's a true hallmark and a testament to who you are as a leader and as a human being, which is beautiful. And I love that you share that about vulnerability. Actually, I was just having a conversation with a new client that we're onboarding yesterday. We were talking about how oftentimes they're referred to as soft skills, you know, and in what I do, it's like, oh, so you train soft skills. And it's funny because it's anything but soft. It's you can teach the business skills, you can teach the tactical of a trade or any business. It's the people part, it's the connectivity part. And that vulnerability where used to be looked at as a sign of weakness is truly your source of strength. So I love that you hone in on that and have also made that bit of a pivot too, because growing up in a very male-dominated, male-centric industry and world to say, you know what, no, it doesn't have to be that way. So good for you for breaking the rules.
Well, we need to come up with a better word than soft skills.
It's horrible.
I hate
it's
that
horrible. It sounds mushy
weak.
And weak, and it's like if we were all so great at it, they're hard skills. they're hard for us to develop as human beings, but it's it's heart skills too, really. It's that connectivity. So I love that. Well, thank you so much for sharing a little bit about you and your background and your passions and all of your fun that you're doing with helping animals and helping people and just the good work you do. So thank you for being a part of it. And with that, thank you for joining us for the Leadership Lowdown. Remember, leaders are learners, so stay curious, to your point, and keep leading with love.